Do you like open world action RPGs? Do you like outer space exploration? Do you like slaughtering intergalactic pirates and innocent alien creatures in equal measure? If so, you're in luck. Our old buddies over at Bethesda have got you covered with their latest offering. A little pet project by the name of Starfield. You may have heard of it, I don't know. Since this game was first announced back in the Jurassic period, it kicked up a storm of controversy. Some folks thought it was going to be the best thing since burrito tacos, while others were expecting a Fallout 76 level disaster. So now that the game has finally been released, what's the ultimate verdict? Is it worth your time and money? Or should it be loaded into a rocket and blasted into the sun? Let's discuss. How about we start off with the story, if you want to even call it that. This game follows the tried and true Bethesda formula we've seen in past Fallout and Elder Scrolls titles, giving the player a simple, if not shallow, story that doesn't distract from the game's greatest strength: exploration and character interaction. The game starts out in the far future. We play as a space miner who stumbles across an ancient alien MacGuffin. Relic. Relic. Ancient alien relic while on the job. Interacting with it causes him to see a strange vision. Afterwards, we team up with a group called Constellation, who are interested in deciphering the vision and finding more alien doodads to uncover their secrets or something. So they send us out to do the legwork, which involves hopping from planet to planet and completing simple tasks to advance the narrative. Most involve tearing through enemy strongholds, hoofing it across fantastical landscapes, and engaging in some truly groan inducing minigame. I'm looking at you, lockpicking. Standard fare for these types of games. Along the way, we meet a serviceable, if not forgettable, cast of characters, some of whom you can enlist as companions and even romance. There are a few standouts here and there, but if you're looking for the second coming of Mr. House or Nick Valentine, you're going to be sorely disappointed. On the bright side, though, all the voice performances are top notch, even if the dialogue isn't always particularly engaging. Speaking of dialogue, in most Bethesda games, you can persuade NPCs for a variety of reasons. Maybe you want to avoid a fight or convince someone to give up some vital information. In certain situations, successful speech checks could mean the difference between revealing new narrative threads or forever missing out on some really good content. Here, persuasion as a mechanic seems inconsequential. It doesn't really matter which option you choose, they all lead to the same outcome. Ultimately, you're not being clever, you're not really putting thought into each response, you're just brute forcing your way to a desired conclusion. Things fare better on the gameplay front. Exploring planets is always interesting, and trust me, there's plenty to explore. Alien worlds range from the mundane and familiar to the truly bizarre and beautiful. Each one is huge and filled with things to scan, whether it's mineral deposits, plants, or alien creatures that may or may not want to eat your face. There are also points of interest scattered across the landscape, which include caves, science outposts, anomalies, and enemy strongholds filled with loot. You'll also come across planets that house human cities and settlements, where you can buy items, purchase or build ships, join factions, and pick up side quests from people who are either too stupid or lazy to solve their own problems. There are so many distractions on offer, it could be weeks before you even touch the main quest. And these excursions, some of which include covert operations and corporate espionage, provide some of the most thrilling and gripping experiences Starfield has to offer. This, in my opinion, is the meat of the game. Combat is nice too. Not remarkable, mind you, just nice. And this is mainly due to the controls, which are buttery smooth. Fights are fast paced and really fun despite their simplicity, comparable to your standard first person shooters. I never ever got tired of mowing down bad guys with an array of ballistic and energy based weapons, even if said bad guys occasionally had the survival instincts and situational awareness of stormtroopers. The fun also extends to ship combat, but to a lesser extent. It feels strangely unintuitive and a bit clunky, at least on console, but having to switch power between different systems like shields and weapons on the fly was really cool and forced me to think on my feet during the more hectic encounters. This is absolutely necessary on higher difficulties, especially towards the beginning of the game when your ship is trash and getting jumped by multiple enemy vessels is usually a death sentence. Presentation wise, this game is among the most beautiful Bethesda has ever released. The models and textures are highly detailed and bursting with color, and look even better when you turn that pesky film grain effect down to zero. Though admittedly, some of the faces can look a little weird at times. Well, a lot of weird. But I've come to expect that kind of thing from a Todd Howard production. Honestly, at this point, I'd be shocked if I didn't encounter the odd mannequin here and there while roaming these Bethesda streets. Just saying. When it comes to sound, there are no major complaints on my end. Everything sounds like it should: footsteps, gunfire, screams of agony, all crisp and realistic. As far as the music goes, there are a few sweeping orchestral fanfares and flourishes, but for the most part, the soundtrack is kind of subdued. So subdued, in fact, that at certain points of the game, I almost forgot about the music entirely. But that's not necessarily a bad thing. Quite the contrary, in fact. When you're wandering around these alien worlds, just you and nature, the gentle music relaxes you and puts you in this deep, euphoric zone. Then some random alien creature attacks you and completely ruins your vibe. I only wish your character had a wrist mounted radio that let you listen to old school Earth music while on the go. Modders, where you at? Performance wise, I didn't experience many problems, which is honestly a miracle considering that this is a Bethesda game. Most were small graphical hiccups and enemies getting stuck on pieces of scenery, things like that. My biggest issues were a few inexplicable gameplay freezes and a crash that happened when I was fast traveling from one planet to another. On the frame rate front, the game runs at a solid 30 FPS on Series X and S, which isn't exactly ideal. Personally, I would have preferred 60, but it's far from deal breaking. Other than these small gripes, it was smooth sailing for the most part. I say for the most part because of the infamous loading screens. Not gonna lie, there are indeed a lot of them. So if that sort of thing bugs you, just know what you're getting into beforehand. On a side note, me and a few other players across the internet experienced mild nausea while playing this game. Some speculate it's either because of head bobbing, the FOV being too narrow, or some combination of the two. I honestly can't call it. I just know that playing for extended periods of time started to mess with my head and my stomach. Not trying to dissuade anyone from playing this game or anything, I just thought that this was worth mentioning. Ultimately, Starfield isn't the revolutionary gaming experience some were hoping for. The writing can be a bit underwhelming, and the mission structure frequently devolves into monotony, but overall, there's more than enough content to keep players preoccupied for a very long time. And with the new Game Plus feature adding additional replay value, the game more than earns its asking price. That's why, for my final rating, I'm giving Starfield a 4 out of 5. It's not a perfect game by any means, but everything it does competently. And if you like previous Bethesda games, or just open world games in general, I think you'll find plenty to like in this one. As always, thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. And if you like this video, I hope you'll consider liking and subscribing. It helps the channel out a lot. Have a good day, and I'll catch y'all on the next go round.